Chapter 885. Yuanhu and the others had spent a great deal of effort to decorate this manor. More importantly, the Grand Supreme Dean had found the best mansions and courtyards for Luo Qingtong and the others, so that it would be convenient for Luo Qingtong to stay when she returned from her leave. Even if Luo Qingtong and the others found a few more mansions and courtyards, and spent a great deal of effort to build another manor, the quality and effect of the spiritual qi inside would be far inferior to this manor. Otherwise, why would Yuanma and the others occupy this manor after they had chased Yuanhu and the others away as a form of humiliation? It was because of the benefits. Before Luo Qingtong came, she had already heard about this from Yuanhu and the others. Therefore, when she saw that Lu Long and the others refused to leave, and even used the Sky Palace's dragon group as an excuse, she could not be bothered to waste her breath on them. She waved her sword and dashed towards them. If they refused to leave, she would beat them until they left. Luo Qingtong had come here to avenge Ling Tianhan and the others, so she had no intention of showing any mercy. Rumble! Luo Qingtong dashed out, leaving a deep white mark in the air. Seeing this, the two people beside Lu Long immediately rushed towards her. Arrogant! You! Before they could finish their words, the people inside, who were also at the peak of the martial king realm, but were obviously more powerful than those outside, were instantly sent flying. You! Lu Long stared at Luo Qingtong in shock and anger, and the aura around him instantly increased. Luo Qingtong, don't go too far. Otherwise, even if you are the fifth prince's fiancé, I will not show any mercy. As he spoke, he revealed his martial royal realm cultivation. However, just as he finished speaking, Luo Qingtong's attack arrived. Boom! Luo Qingtong appeared beside him. She waved her hand, and the wind and thunder sword instantly swung horizontally towards Lu Long. Bang! Lu Long raised his hand to catch it. Just as he was about to counterattack, a violent and tyrannical force instantly blasted out from Luo Qingtong's wind and thunder sword. The strength of the aura was not the slightest bit inferior to his. In fact, it was even stronger than the aura that erupted from his body. Martial Emperor stage. Lu Long was shocked. Bang! His hands were numb from the shock, and in the next second, his figure was suddenly blasted away. Boom! Lu Long fell heavily on the ground in front of the disciples of the Tianyu Empire, who were at the peak of the martial king realm. They looked at Lu Long in shock. He couldn't even take one move from Luo Qingtong. Looking at the terrifying power rippling around Luo Qingtong's body, his face instantly turned deathly pale. Martial Emperor stage. Luo Qingtong is actually a martial emperor. Their faces were pale green and black. Luo Qingtong's strength was completely beyond their imagination. Originally, they thought that Luo Qingtong, who had returned from a 3-month leave, had the strength of an advanced martial king realm, which was already a stroke of luck for Yuanhu and the others. They didn't expect that Luo Qingtong's strength had directly advanced to the martial emperor stage. They finally knew why Luo Qingtong had the confidence to bring Yuanhu and the others back to make trouble. With the talent and strength that Luo Qingtong had shown in this club, she indeed had the ability to drive them out of this manor. Luo Qingtong, don't be complacent. You have violated the decision of the Heavenly Palace's dragon group. Chapter 886. Ling Tianhan. Luo Qingtong's face was impassive. That pair of eyes, which were like clear spring water with traces of blood mist floating in it, was now dyed with the color of blood in layers. But soon Luo Qingtong suppressed it. No, in the Saint Academy, she could not kill as she wished. Luo Qingtong suppressed the bloodlust that rose from the bottom of her heart. She asked Ling Tianhan to come to her side. How did he break your right hand? Do it again. I guarantee that his hand will never recover. Given Luo Qingtong's status, Ling Tianhan naturally believed her without a doubt. He walked towards Lu Long. Lu Long had already struggled with all his might when he heard Luo Qingtong's words. The way he broke Ling Tianhan's right hand was extremely cruel. In order to prevent the Ling family from competing with the royal family of Tianyu and threatening their rule, Ling Tianhan's hand had been broken. If he had not met Luo Qingtong, even if he had found a saint pharmacist to heal him, His muscles, bones, and flesh would never have been able to move as freely as before. Only Luo Qingtong's eye technique could remove the muscles and bones from Ling Tianhan's right hand. Even so, Ling Tianhan still had to strengthen and nourish his right hand before it could reach the strength of his left hand and other parts of his body. Lu Long had broken Ling Tianhan's hand according to his previous injury, and now it was his turn to enjoy that feeling. Ling Tianhan would return all the pain he had suffered from his right hand all these years. No, Luo Qingtong, you can't do that. We are already members of the Sky Palace's dragon troop. Especially me. I've been accepted as an internal member. If you dare to do this to me, the fifth prince and King Wu will not let you off. Is that so? Tell them I'll be waiting. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. She lifted her foot and stomped. Ah! Lu Long screamed in pain. I'll leave them to you, Luo Qingtong said as she walked towards the courtyard. It doesn't matter if you hurt or cripple them. After you've vented your anger, throw them at the entrance of the Sky Palace's dragon troop. You gave me such a big gift the moment you came back. I should return the favor. The smile on Luo Qingtong's lips was evil and cold. She had said that if these people did not leave within 3 breaths, they could forget about leaving. They would be carried out. And this was not the end of it. She wanted to strip them of their status as heavenly students. They said that her people were not qualified to stay. She would like to see who was not qualified. The smile on Luo Qingtong's lips was cold. On the other hand, Luo Qingtong's, Yuan who said King Wu's heart. It's great that boss is back. They had been holding in their anger for so long, and they had finally vented it. As for the revenge of the dragon troop. Previously, the group of people was still worried sick at heart, but now they had completely accepted it. After all, they had been holding it in for so long. But Yuan Ma and the dragon troop did not let them go. Now that boss had a duel with Yuan Ma, there was no need to be afraid of them. So what if they had offended them? With this thought in mind, the group of people immediately felt relieved. At the same time, in the main city of the Black Field, Yi Qianxian looked at the devilish man with a cold and bloodthirsty face. He almost crushed the armrest in his hand. Chapter 887. With Yi Qianming's words, the temperature in the hall instantly dropped. Bei Qing and Feng Yu, who were beside Yi Qianming, were crying bitterly in their hearts. Oh my God! If they knew that the king of the southern mountain range was here for the evil doctor, they would have blocked the golden light that was sent to their master, and sent the king of the southern mountain range far away. This was great, he had angered his master. Evil doctor, don't think about abandoning our master to be with another man. Their master was very terrifying when he was angry. Once the heavenly vein physique was fully unleashed, the power would be earth-shattering. Yi Qianming was only suppressing his strength because of the hidden danger in his body. It had been a long time since he used his true strength. If Luo Qingtong really fell in love with someone else and didn't want Yi Qianming anymore, they could guarantee that their master would go crazy. At that time, the world would be shocked and the 4 seas would be shocked. The evil doctor might be fine, but they Bei Qing and Feng Yu had bitter faces as they shivered in the cold air around Yi Qianming. They were cursing the visiting Yu Sihuang in their hearts. The latter also noticed the cold aura around Yi Qianming and raised his eyebrows. That's right. The man was wearing a purple robe. He was wearing a dark robe embroidered with the iris flower. It made the man's skin look like snow, and he looked like a demon. That gorgeous robe could only be described as feminine if it was worn by an ordinary person. However, Yu Sihuang used his face that was even more bewitching than a woman's face to make the robe give off a graceful and charming feeling. His seductive charm was not feminine at all. Those who saw him would be stunned by his devilishly handsome face, but they would never mistake him for a woman. His charm was domineering and cold. At this moment, he stroked the mole at the corner of his eye and smiled softly. I have indeed fallen in love with the evil doctor. I would like to ask the Lord to help me tell the evil doctor to show himself, to relieve my yearning. That time when Yu Sihuang woke up in the mountain range, he discovered that his heart disease had been cured. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's alchemy and the huge cauldron in front of her, Yu Sihuang easily guessed the identity of the girl in the mountain range. She was the famous evil Dr. Ghost Eye of the Black Field, and even the entire Eastern Domain. Even when he was in the southern region, he had heard of this person's name. He never imagined that he would run into this person while he was heavily injured. Moreover, she had saved his life and cured his heart disease. What was even more unexpected was that evil Dr. Ghost Eye, who was rumored to be in a homosexual relationship with Blackfield's Ming Zun, was actually a woman. In Yu Sihuang's mind, the scene of Luo Qingtong killing a Sage Realm expert with the help of the heavenly thunder flashed through his mind. His eyes shone with an indescribable brilliance. After he returned to the southern mountain range, he immediately dealt with those who dared to betray him. After that, he spent some time stabilizing the situation in the 3 islands and 7 territories. Therefore, only now did he have the time to come to the Black Field to look for Luo Qingtong. But he never thought that the Black Field's Ming Zun actually had homosexual feelings for evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Yu Sihuang thought that this was just a rumor on the street. But now it seemed that it was true. He just didn't know whether the other party knew that evil Dr. Ghost Eye was a woman or not. Yu Sihuang thought so, but he was not prepared to back down. Chapter 888. The golden throne under Yi Qianming was instantly smashed into powder by his uncontrollable strength. Then in the next second, Yi Qianming's figure suddenly flew up and rushed towards Yu Sihuang. Bang! The moment Yu Sihuang spoke, he paid close attention to Yi Qianming's movements. When he saw Yi Qianming's figure disappear from the throne, his figure also flew up at the same time. Boom! The chair that Yu Sihuang was sitting on was smashed into pieces by Yi Qianming's aura. His figure flashed outwards. Ming Zun, I won't give up. This was the territory of the Black Field. Yu Sihuang wouldn't be stupid enough to fight with Yi Qianming. But he wouldn't give up on Luo Qingtong either. Bang! What answered him was Yi Qianming's attack with a wave of his sleeve. Boom! The power of the two collided in midair. Then Yu Sihuang's figure disappeared from the main hall. Go to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Sensing that the opponent's aura had completely disappeared from the main hall, and even the entire eastern region, Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Yes." Bei Qing and Feng Yu wiped their sweat and answered. At the same time, in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, Luo Qingtong was frowning and looking at Su Xiaoxiao and the others opposite her. So, you're saying that the Heavenly Dragon Group is actually a private force established by King Wu of the Empire of Qin, and has nothing to do with the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Yes. Su Xiaoxiao and the others nodded. Boss, you just came to the Holy Academy, so you don't know. The Holy Academy encourages students to fight with each other in order to improve their strength. As long as no one dies, everything else is up to you. Therefore, various forces have been born in the Holy Academy to fight for resources. Students who don't rely on forces are either extremely powerful and don't fear those forces, or most of their resources have been taken away. Little Tyrant Yuan said, feeling very indignant. At this moment, ouch! He jumped up abruptly, hugging his feet as he jumped up and down. Sima Ju, why did you step on me? Yuan Little Overlord glared at the fairy-like young man sitting beside him. The latter looked at him speechlessly for a while. Her delicate face, which was usually expressionless, could not help but twitch a little. He looked at Luo Qingtong and said, Boss, don't listen to Yuan Hu's nonsense. In fact, the power struggle in the Saint Academy is not that serious. As he spoke, his voice became softer and softer under Luo Qingtong's gaze. So, all of you were robbed of your resources? Luo Qingtong tapped the table in front of her and said indifferently. Of course, she knew what Sima Ju meant. He just didn't want her to worry about their matters and get into more trouble. However, he didn't realize that as soon as he came here, he had slapped the face of the Grand Elder of the Sacred Institute and trampled on the members of the Council of Elders for the Grand Principal and the others. Based on this point alone, her days in the Holy Academy would not be peaceful anymore. Not to mention, she had also made a bet with Yuanma. This even offended a group of people who were on good terms with Yuanma. Since the people in the Sky Palace Dragon Group were ordered by Yuanma to make trouble for them, then in the future, No matter whether she would provoke them or not, they would definitely come to find her. In this case, what was the point of keeping a low profile? She wanted to let the people of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin know that she, Luo Qingtong, was not to be trifled with. Chapter 889. Luo Qingtong did not intend to keep a low profile when she returned to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin from the Great Chu sacred dynasty. She wanted to be as high profile as possible. She wanted to slap them in the face. She wanted to let the Holy Academy, and even this strange world, know the name of Luo Qingtong. You have to know that if you retreat again and again, the final result will only be that there is no way to retreat. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. I taught you the wolf pack rule before, and now I want to teach you another rule, which is the lone wolf rule. When you are in a weak position, avoiding is the way to preserve your strength. But there are some things that you can't give up. In this world, why are the weak always weak, and the strong always strong? Because of strength, because of talent? No, it is because of resources. In the 24th century, where information was exploding and capital was devouring each other, Luo Qingtong knew better than anyone the importance of resources and heritage. A weak person can rely on plundered resources to become strong, and a strong person can also be overtaken by others because of insufficient resources and unable to improve his strength. Why can the children of those big forces and families be above most people? Unless they are really trash who can't cultivate, even if they are ordinary people, can they be stronger than the geniuses of the inferior countries? Because of their families, their heritage, and their resources, it is enough to turn them from a person who would have absolutely no future in an inferior country to an ordinary expert. No matter how powerful a genius is, if he is not nurtured from a young age and does not have enough resources, even if he can rely on his own talent to go a long way, how long can he go? He can compare with those ordinary geniuses, but can he compare with the strong people of the same level? Talent and strength are important, but resources are also important, and more important. Without resources, your strength can improve, but the strength of others can. In this way, you will only become weaker and weaker, and others will only become stronger and stronger. So when others come to rob your resources, you should protect the food you rely on like a lone wolf. Whoever dares to rob, you will not let him go even if you die. Force the other party to not dare to rob your resources and rob your strength promotion opportunity. Otherwise, if the other party increases their strength, you can only be bullied in this life. So tell us, how did you do it? As heaven rank students, you enjoy more resources than ordinary students, but your auras haven't increased at all. Aren't you letting me down? Luo Qingtong's voice became colder and colder. With your current state, what qualifications do you have to follow me? Luo Qingtong said. She slammed the table in front of her and suddenly stood up. Boss! Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Su Xiaoxiao and the others panicked. Boss, don't abandon us. We were wrong. We won't do it again. At this moment, Su Xiaoxiao's eyes turned red, and she knelt in front of Luo Qingtong. Boss, it's me. It's all my fault. Her eyes were red and tears kept falling down her cheeks. She sniffled and said, Boss, Yuan Hu and the others wouldn't have run out of resources. It was those people who threatened them. They said that if they didn't give them the resources, they wouldn't let me come into contact with those precious cultivation facilities that could assist in refining medicine. Chapter 890. When Su Xiaoxiao said this, she was so sad that she started to cry. Before she met Luo Qingtong, her character had always been very weak. She was timid. After she met Luo Qingtong, she slowly became stronger. Now that she thought that Luo Qingtong didn't want them anymore, her weak character came out again. Boss Qingtong, don't blame them. It's all my fault. It's fine if you don't want me. Don't abandon them. As she spoke, she began to wail in grief. It's my fault. Boss, don't blame Xiaoxiao. We are useless. We can't deal with those people from the dragon group. We can't guard the resources you earned for us. When Yuan Hu and the others saw Su Xiaoxiao like this, their eyes also turned red. As the combat alchemist in their team, Su Xiaoxiao was also soft and cute. She was also the youngest. Everyone treated her like a little sister. Even if they knew that she was a little white rabbit with steel teeth, they still couldn't help but dote on her and help her. Therefore, when the people from the Sky Palace's dragon group threatened them with Su Xiaoxiao's growth, they quickly compromised. After all, they knew how difficult it was for Su Xiaoxiao to reach this step with her talent that others thought was trash. They couldn't let those people destroy her opportunity to improve her alchemy ability. Moreover, they didn't think so much at that time. They only thought that without those resources, they could still rely on themselves to improve their strength. They might not necessarily be worse than others. However, if Su Xiaoxiao didn't have the opportunity to come into contact with those precious cultivation facilities, she definitely wouldn't be able to improve her alchemist level in the future. With this thought in mind, they handed over their resources. When Luo Qingtong reminded them, they finally understood. Without resources, they could indeed rely on themselves to improve their strength. However, they wouldn't be on the same level as others. Those people could bully them now. In the future, when their strength was too weak, they would be even more unscrupulous. The real thing to do was to fight back with all their might. While protecting their own resources, they would think of a way for Su Xiaoxiao to get rid of the other party's threat. Boss, we were wrong. Yuan Hu and the others lowered their heads deeply. I was the one who suggested this. Boss, punish me. It's fine if you don't want me. Don't abandon them. Ling Tianhan took a deep breath and stood out. He was the calmest among them, so everyone was willing to listen to him. However, there were disadvantages to being steady and doing things. He thought too much and had too many concerns. He didn't have Luo Qingtong's ability to hit the nail on the head and see through the essence. Therefore, when Su Xiaoxiao was threatened, he chose to compromise with those people and help Su Xiaoxiao improve her strength first. After all, her talent in the Pharmaceutical Institute was really good, and her future was far better than theirs. No. Boss, punish me. Yuan Hu puffed out his chest and stood up. I also agree with this proposal. Although Ling Tianhan was the one who suggested this idea, he was the one who made a fuss about handing over his resources to help Su Xiaoxiao. Half of Ling Tianhan's train of thought was led astray by him. Sima Ju didn't say anything, and also stood out silently. Since he did not object, he was naturally in the wrong. Otherwise, Ling Tianhan would have considered his idea. Ling Yuer also stood out. She was the same as Yuan Hu, the impulsive type. Why don't you punish me alone? Anyway, there are 3 people in the Ling family. You want my brother and Tianchen? Kick me out. She lowered her head and played with the long whip in her hand. Don't abandon them. No, enough. Luo Qingtong looked at them, feeling angry and amused. Her stomach full of anger was about to be extinguished by these clowns. Chapter 891. Luo Qingtong's voice became extremely cold as she spoke. She could punish her people however she wanted. However, she could not allow others to make them suffer losses. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold as she looked at them and asked, "The people who stole your resources are from the Sky Palace Dragon Group?" Yes. Su Xiaoxiao and the others stood obediently after hearing that Luo Qingtong did not want them. It's them. However, it should be Yuwenma's orders. Su Xiaoxiao wiped away the tears in her eyes. The Sky Palace Dragon Group is very powerful in the Sky Palace. Other than the Good Yuan Group established by the Crown Prince, they are the most powerful force. She looked at Ling Tianhan as she spoke. He should know more about these things than she did, and explained it in more detail. Yes. Seeing Su Xiaoxiao's gaze, Ling Tianhan continued her words and nodded. Boss Xiaoxiao is right. However, she is talking about the past. Now, the Sky Palace Dragon Group established by King Wu is considered the most powerful force in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Ling Tianhan spoke carefully to Luo Qingtong. The Crown Prince started to decline a few years ago, and King Wu overtook him. Now, the Sky Palace Dragon Group is catching up with the Good Yuan Group. The reason why the Good Yuan Group is still number 1 on the surface is because of the Crown Prince's status as the Crown Prince and his strength. He was already number 1 in the Saint Academy many years ago. Ling Tianhan continued. However, King Wu's strength has increased rapidly in the past few years. He is not far from the Crown Prince on the soaring dragon list. As for the Crown Prince, his strength has not increased in the past few years, and the ranking of the top geniuses of the Great Qin Sacred Academy, among the 4 sacred academies, has dropped from second to last. Ling Tianhan could not help but shake his head. If not for this, the Sky Palace Dragon Group would not be so arrogant. It is said that King Wu also said that he will replace the Crown Prince as number 1 in the Saint Academy this year, and lead the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin to defeat the other 3 Saint Academies. Because of this, King Wu is in the limelight now, and the Sky Palace Dragon Group is very arrogant. Yes, Yuanhu said. Boss, you just came here and did not know. Before the Crown Prince disappeared, the Sky Palace Dragon Group dominated the Sky Palace Dragon Group. At that time, the forces formed by the various Heaven Stage students were all competing with each other. Everyone went back and forth, snatching resources based on their own abilities. No one was afraid of the other. As long as they could win the Sky Palace Dragon Group, they would to win the Palace Dragon Group. But ever since the Martial King rose to power, and the Dragon Group took over the leading position, he began to gather the forces of the Sacred Academy. Their resources were plundered. Now the Sky Palace Dragon Group is the most powerful group. Only the Crown Prince's Sky Palace Dragon Group will have some scruples. Yuanhu slapped his forehead and said, "Oh yes, when we were targeted by the Sky Palace Dragon Group, the Crown Prince's Sky Palace Dragon Group helped us out." Chapter 892. Yuanhu felt indignant as he spoke. Not for anything else, but the method used by the Dragon Group was simply too shameless. Su Xiaoxiao was the main target of the pharmaceutical institution, and was a rare genius. Coupled with the attention of the master of the pharmaceutical institution, and the Grand President, no matter how overboard the Dragon Group was, they would not dare to openly target her. Not to mention, they would not let her come into contact with the cultivation facilities that assisted in refining medicine. If they did so, there would be no need for Su Xiaoxiao to complain. The teachers of the sacred institution would naturally come looking for them. But the Dragon Group was treacherous. How did they do it? They had sent people to guard the cultivation facilities. As soon as they saw Su Xiaoxiao, a group of people would immediately stand in front of the cultivation facilities and queue up. How many people were there in the Sky Palace's Dragon Group? Almost 1/10 of the Sky Palace's students. Under such circumstances, even if they only took out a small part, or even a small group of people, it was enough to make Su Xiaoxiao queue from dawn to dawn the next day, without being able to get the opportunity to train at the cultivation facility. They had used such a method to shamelessly prevent Su Xiaoxiao from coming into contact with the cultivation facilities, and prevent others from using it against them. Otherwise, how could Yuanhu and the rest give in so easily, and listen to their threats, and give their resources to them? It was because this method was too shameless. For Su Xiaoxiao's future advancement, they had no choice but to do so. After hearing Yuanhu's words, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows slightly. His Highness the Crown Prince helped you? The reason why she did not mention the Guiyuan regiment, but the Crown Prince, was because Luo Qingtong knew that if it was not for Ma Qinye's instructions, the Guiyuan regiment would not have been so nosy. After all, the Crown Prince had been quiet, and did not give King Wu a chance to be aggressive. After Luo Qingtong returned to the Chu dynasty, she had also investigated the Empire of Qin dynasty in the Black Field. After the rise of King Wu, Ma Qinye had begun to lay low. This was a smart move. After all, Ma Qinye's dragon qi was constantly being drained. Under such circumstances, it was the stupidest thing to do. Mo Chen Xian might be eager for Ma Qinye to fight him with the art of seizing luck. In this way, in close contact, he could absorb more providence, and the draconic aura lost from Ma Qinye's body would be more powerful. Fortunately, the dragon energy in Ma Qinye's body had already taken shape. If it had been absorbed by Mo Chen Xian like this before it took shape, it would have collapsed long ago. As Luo Qingtong thought about it, she raised her hand and gently rubbed her chin. Ma Chenyi even ordered people to protect Yuan Hu and the others. The Ling family must have thought of Ling Tianhan and the others after they returned from the Tianyu Empire. So they gave the order. "TSK, I owe him a big favor." Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. This Ma Chenyi is quite interesting. This was the first time that Luo Qingtong did not even have the slightest thought of rejecting a gift and a favor to this extent. Luo Qingtong was a person who could be persuaded by reason, but not cowed by force. Ma Chenyi first gave the medicine and the Dharma access, and then he ordered people to protect Yuan Hu and the others. Even if he had a request and his purpose was not pure, Luo Qingtong was still willing to accept this favor. After all, standing in his position, it was already very rare that he did not use any coercion or enticement. Moreover, that King Wu, Luo Qingtong really did not like him. Not to mention that he was with Yuanma. The person behind him was the heavenly doctor, which was enough for Luo Qingtong to take action. How dare he covet her man? She would let the other party know that not just anyone could take a fancy to her. At least, not her man. Let's go. Let's go to the Gui Yuan regiment first. Chapter 893. At the same time, she could also give the crown prince some interest. When Luo Qingtong went to the Gui Yuan group, a group of people were left at the place where Yuanma was. Lu Long. Yuanma rushed over after receiving the news. When he saw the group of people lying on the ground, he was shocked and angry. "Why are you like this? Why are you here?" Among the group of people, the two who were the least injured were from the Tianyu Branch Academy, who entered the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, along with Su Xiaoxiao. They said, "Brother Yuanma, it's Luo Qingtong." She told Ling Tianhan to do this. Their voices sounded like they were crying. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to throw these people to the dragon group of the Sky Palace. But thinking that these people were sent by Yuanma, it would be better to throw them here and slap them in the face. So, she asked Ling Tianhan to throw them here. The limbs of the group of people were all broken. They were thrown there like dumplings and stacked on top of each other. The few people who had insulted Luo Qingtong and Su Xiaoxiao were completely unconscious. Lu Long was placed on top of the pile of dumplings. His right hand was completely broken. Ling Tianhan used the same method that the Lu family's people used to break his hand, and forcibly broke Lu Long's hand. And just like how Lu Long broke his hand, he added more injuries to the wound. Lu Long's right hand was in a terrible state. Yuanma looked at it and was extremely angry. He was angry because Luo Qingtong didn't give him face and insisted on going against him. He was also angry because Luo Qingtong broke Lu Long's hand. Lu Long was one of his capable subordinates and his most important confidant. He was preparing to train him to work for him in the future. In this situation, how could Lu Long continue to work for him? And if he trained other people, let's not talk about whether they could be as loyal and trustworthy as Lu Long, who had been with him all the way from the Empire of Tianyu. Even the talent of those people might not be able to compare to Lu Long. Those who were more talented than him were mostly the disciples of the Empire of Qin's sacred dynasty. Even if those people wanted to become Ling Tianhan's confidants, he would not agree. Who knew when he would be sold? Luo Qingtong was forcing him to rely on the martial king in the future, and unable to cultivate his own forces. Thinking of this, Yuanma gritted his teeth. He couldn't tell if he was more angry or regretful. Luo Qingtong. He thought of the beautiful figure standing proudly in the square. In that instant, the girl's figure was like a goddess bathed in divine light. Even Yuanma was deeply captivated. However, what the other party threw at him was a letter of annulment. Now he even led those people from the Ling family to break the limbs of his trusted aide. Senior Marshal Brother, don't be angry. This Luo Qingtong is too much. She really doesn't take you seriously at all. Seeing the anger on Yuanma's face, Su Jinyue was secretly happy. Originally, when Luo Qingtong came back, Yuanma asked people to call Lu Long and the others back. It was she who stopped them. Seeing that Luo Qingtong really had a conflict with Lu Long and the others, Su Jinyue was delighted. She wouldn't let Luo Qingtong and Yuanma live happily. She must make Yuanma hate Luo Qingtong, the more the better. Chapter 894. She comforted him. Senior brother, she is so arrogant. The Sky Palace's dragon group will definitely not let them off. It was the Sky Palace's dragon group who ordered Lu Long and the others to occupy the place where Su Xiaoxiao and the others lived. Luo Qingtong and the others drove them out. Not only was it a slap to Yuanma's face, but it was also a slap to the Sky Palace's dragon group and King Wu's face. Let's see how she will suffer in the future. As Su Jinhua was thinking about this, Yuanma's cold voice sounded. This is between me and her. King Wu doesn't need to intervene. Tell the Sky Palace's dragon group that they don't need to interfere. Su Jinhua exploded when she heard this. Senior brother, that Luo Qingtong didn't care about your face at all. Not only did she break off the engagement in public, but she also beat up Lu Long and the others. Are you just going to let it go? As she spoke, she was jealous and said angrily. What's more, do you think you can just ignore it? King Wu might not let them off. Don't forget, the Crown Prince has helped Ling Tianhan and the others several times. Using this opportunity, they might be able to force the Crown Prince to take action. How could King Wu let Luo Qingtong and the others go? That would be a breakthrough for them to deal with the Crown Prince and the Gui Yuan clique. Previously, Su Xiaoxiao and the others' tolerance and compromise made the dragon group unable to find a reason to take action. Now they had an excuse. How could they let them off? Moreover, there's still Mo Yufei. She also likes you. As the princess of the royal family, will King Wu listen to us or her? Su Jinhua said coldly. At the mention of Mo Yufei, she also felt a burst of jealousy. The princess of the Empire of Qin's dynasty had been pampered since she was a child, and was very arrogant. If Yuanma hadn't insisted on not breaking off the engagement, and became her father's disciple, she might have been suppressed by the other party, and couldn't get close to Yuanma at all. Su Jinhua had already informed Mo Yufei of the news. She wanted to see how the latter could be a match for Luo Qingtong. She only needed to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. With the Heavenly Palace's dragon group here, she was waiting to see how miserable Luo Qingtong's life in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin would be. Thinking of this, Su Jinhua finally felt a little better. When Yuanma heard her words, his expression also changed. Mo Yufei, Princess Yufei of the Empire of Qin Holy Dynasty. Yuanma also had a headache. It was impossible for him to break off the engagement with Luo Qingtong. But Mo Yufei kept pressing on. Now that Luo Qingtong had come to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, she would not let her go. Yuanma would never let her ruin his plan. With that thought in mind, he immediately walked toward the Heavenly Palace's dragon group. I'll go find His Highness King Wu. As soon as he said that, Su Jinhua snorted softly and said, His Highness King Wu said that he might have a breakthrough in the dragon qi in his body this month. He has already applied to go out and gain experience. He's not in the sacred institution. Therefore, Luo Qingtong would definitely not be able to escape from Princess Yufei's difficulties. Let's see how she's going to end up in such a miserable state. Princess Yufei was very good at torturing people. While Su Jinhua was thinking about this, Luo Qingtong, Su Xiaoxiao, and the others were stopped outside the courtyard of the Gui Yuan clan's Machini. Are you Luo Qingtong? Outside the Gui Yuan clan's residence, when Luo Qingtong and the others arrived, there were already several people waiting there. Chapter 895. She was wearing a red robe. However, the gorgeous robe on her was not as gorgeous as the simple red robe on Luo Qingtong. If the red on Luo Qingtong's robe was set off by her own appearance, it made the simple red robe look as bright as the morning sun. In that case, the girl was just a simple ball of fire. Although bright, it was not as dazzling and eye-catching as Luo Qingtong's. Luo Qingtong's charm was enough to distinguish her from the other party. When they stood together, it was even more obvious who was superior. Seeing this scene, a trace of anger flashed across the face of the gorgeous girl. In the whispers of the woman beside her, she looked at Luo Qingtong with an even more unfriendly expression. She directly walked in front of Luo Qingtong and stopped her. A low-class person from a low-class country. The beautiful girl played with the whip inlaid with jewels and jade in her hand. She looked up at Luo Qingtong and said coldly, "What qualifications do you have to come to my brother Crown Prince's place? You want to ask to see my brother Crown Prince? Don't you know who you are? Aren't you afraid of dirtying my brother Crown Prince's place?" Mo Yufei looked at Luo Qingtong with disdain. There was a trace of jealousy and annoyance in her eyes. The other party was Yuanma's fiancé who refused to break off the engagement? Mo Yufei did not think that Yuanmo refused to break off the engagement because of Luo Qingtong. She only thought that he refused to break off the engagement because of his affection and righteousness. Therefore, she was even more infatuated with him. But at this moment, looking at Luo Qingtong who appeared in front of her, she felt an indescribable discomfort in her heart. The other party looked like this, and her charm and temperament did not lose to her in the slightest. How did she look like someone from a low-class country? Even Mo Yufei could not compare to Luo Qingtong's natural elegance and grace. Luo Qingtong was a supreme ocular sorcerer in her previous life. She stood at the top of the ability world in the 24th century. How could she lack the temperament of a superior? Even Feng Wuan's temperament could not compare to her, let alone the arrogant Mo Yufei, who was just an ordinary royal princess. Luo Qingtong looked at the person blocking her way in front of her, and Su Xiaoxiao and the others who were filled with righteous indignation, and were about to rush out to argue with the other party. When the latter and the others heard that Luo Qingtong was insulted, their faces flushed red, and they almost rushed up to fight with Mo Yufei. In front of Luo Qingtong, why would they care if she was a princess? She dared to insult boss. For Su Xiaoxiao and Luo Qingtong was Luo Qingtong's Luo Qingtong. No matter what was done to them, they could endure it. And Luo Qingtong, a good dog doesn't block the way. Luo Qingtong looked indifferently at the beautiful young girl, who was obviously of an extraordinary background standing in front of her. She was not prepared to give her any face. If the other party expected her to endure and bow her head like the others, then they were wrong. It was not that Luo Qingtong would not bow her head, but it was obvious that the person in front of her was not qualified. Report to your crown prince that Luo Qingtong came to visit. After Luo Qingtong finished speaking, she directly said to the guards outside the courtyard. The latter and the others were very well trained. It could be seen that Ma Chunyi treated the people of the Gui Yuan group as his trusted subordinates. The people who came out of here in the future would definitely be the core of his forces. Those people took the words and went in to report. Mo Yufei gritted her teeth so hard that she almost broke her teeth. What did you just call me? Mo Yufei could not believe that Luo Qingtong actually called her a dog. How dare this woman? Chapter 896. A cold light flashed in Luo Qingtong's eyes. Right at this moment, a stern shout suddenly rang out in the courtyard. Stop! Yufei, you've gone too far. While speaking, Ma Chunyi, who had received a report from someone outside that Luo Qingtong was here, hurriedly put down what he was doing and walked out of the courtyard. Seeing this scene, a cold and fierce look flashed across his face, and he immediately snatched the whip from Mo Yufei's hand. With a bang, he spat out the energy in his hand and instantly shattered the extremely luxurious and beautiful whip inlaid with jewels and jade into pieces. You're too ridiculous. Ma Chunyi looked at Mo Yufei coldly and threw the whip back to her. Brother Crown Prince. Mo Yufei looked at him in disbelief. You actually broke my favorite whip for a woman like that. Why? Mo Yufei's face was full of anger. She had waited outside for a long time. But Ma Chunyi said he was busy and had no time to see her. Why did he come out when this woman came? Thinking of this, Mo Yufei gritted her teeth and said, Brother Crown Prince, do you like this woman? How can you face Sister Qingwei like this? She is infatuated with you, and has been waiting for you all this time. Sister Qingwei is the #1 on the Young Phoenix list of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. How can she be inferior to this woman? She raised her hand and pointed at Luo Qingtong. Before the latter had any reaction, little gangster Yuan and the others behind her were completely enraged. What are you talking about? Mo Yufei, don't think that everyone is like you who likes to be cheap and chase after men. Yuan Hu and the others were furious. Luo Qingtong originally brought them here to thank Ma Chenyi for protecting them before. Now it seemed that they didn't come here to thank him. Instead, they were embarrassed. This Princess Yufei was not normal before. She was the princess of the royal family of the Empire of Qin. How could she be jealous of Su Jinyue and Yuanma, a man she was engaged to? They all blushed for her, and the royal family of the Empire of Qin. How shameless! How dare they say that their boss is here to curry favor with the crown prince? Did she think that everyone was like her and Su Jinyue? The words of little overlord Yuan and the others immediately angered Mo Yufei. She pointed at Luo Qingtong, Yuanhu, and the others and said, "Okay, if you're not here to curry favor with my crown prince Gij, then tell me, why are you looking for him? Aren't you here to ask him for help?" Mo Yufei sneered. She already knew that Luo Qingtong and the others had dealt with Lu Long and the others who had occupied their courtyard. Under such circumstances, they had slapped the dragon regiment in the face. How could they not be here to ask for Crown Prince Gij's help? In the heavenly hall of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, where the heaven grade students gathered, no other student force could compete with the dragon regiment except for Crown Prince Gij's Guiyuan regiment. If Luo Qingtong had the ability, she would say that she didn't need Crown Prince Gij's help. At that time, she would be punished by the dragon regiment. As Mo Yufei said this, she suddenly raised her head high. Luo Qingtong didn't bother to pay attention to her at all. She didn't come back to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin to compete with a brainless girl like Mo Yufei. Yuanhu and the others' words were enough to let her know the identity of the girl opposite her, and why she was so against her. But it didn't matter. She wanted to humiliate herself. Then come on. In the Grand Qin Sacred Academy, how many open spears and hidden arrows were there? She had to face them all. Chapter 897. Lend me some people, and I'll give you a big gift in return. They must be absolutely trusted and powerful. They'd better not be too much weaker than you, Luo Qingtong said slowly. This was her first big gift since she came to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. It was a little interest for Ma Chenyi for giving her medicine and protecting Su Xiaoxiao. Okay. Ma Chenyi agreed without hesitation. Luo Qingtong's charm in the square had completely conquered him. He didn't ask why Luo Qingtong wanted these people, whether it was to deal with the dragon regiment of the Heavenly Palace. Because of the dragon chi in his body, the people of the Guiyuan regiment were not suitable to fight with the people of the dragon regiment for the time being. But Ma Chenyi didn't care at all whether Luo Qingtong would lead his people to fight with the people of the dragon regiment, which would give Mo Chunxian an excuse to take action. After all, the people he wanted to lend to Luo Qingtong were all the backbone and top geniuses of the Guiyuan regiment. At that time, he couldn't get away with it even if he wanted to, but he still lent them. Hearing Ma Chenyi's words, the backbone of the Guiyuan regiment behind him suddenly called out worriedly, "Your Highness! It's okay. Listen to Luo Qingtong." Here, only Ma Chenyi knew the identity of Luo Qingtong best. She was a girl who was conferred the title of Princess of the Great Chu with her own ability. Ma Chenyi believed that she wouldn't cheat him. If he really made a wrong bet, then it was only a matter of time before he fought with Mo Chunxian. Ma Chenyi lowered his eyes slightly. He looked at his own body. The dragon chi in his body had recovered a little. After paying special attention to it these days, Ma Chenyi had believed that his previous feelings were not an illusion. His dragon chi hadn't been absorbed by anyone for a long time. This was a rare time for him to be relaxed and comfortable over the years. Even the dragon aura that had formed in his body slowly stretched its body and recovered some of its energy. Under such circumstances, Ma Chenyi couldn't help but suspect that Luo Qingtong had helped him when he met her in the Tianyu Empire. Perhaps it was a special technique that evil Dr. Ghost Eye had taught her? No matter what, Ma Chenyi accepted this favor. Therefore, when the other party said that he wanted to borrow people, he agreed without hesitation. Firstly, he believed in Luo Qingtong. Secondly, he wanted to return the favor. If Luo Qingtong could ask the demonic Dr. Ghost Eye, or even that person from the Black Field, to help him remove the hidden danger in his body, Then so what if he handed over the entire Guiyuan group to the other party? However, Luo Qingtong may not be willing to take over his Guiyuan group. Ma Qingyi looked at the young girl's eyes, which were like clear spring water that washed away the sunset glow. Her eyes were filled with confidence and dominance. It seemed like the situation in the heavenly palace of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin was about to change. He just didn't know if those people on the Soaring Dragon list and Young Phoenix list were ready. Ma Qingyi looked at Luo Qingtong's eyes and smiled. On the other side, Mo Yufei stamped her feet and spoke. Brother Crown Prince, how could you just agree to her? She definitely wants to borrow your people to deal with the people from the dragon group. Didn't you not want to be enemies with Brother Xian? As she spoke, she raised her head angrily and pointed at Luo Qingtong. And you, Luo Qingtong, didn't you say that you didn't come to cling to my brother Crown Prince? What are you doing now? Borrowing people from him? Don't think that you don't want to ask my brother Crown Prince for help. A woman like you is fickle and fickle. First you didn't let go of Yuanma, and now you seduce my brother Crown Prince. As she spoke, she wanted to slap Luo Qingtong. Chapter 898. Mo Yufei's voice suddenly screamed. Luo Qingtong, you actually dared to hit me. She clutched her 5 fingers that had been broken in the middle, and the pain made her tear up instantly. Luo Qingtong was extremely ruthless. The bones in Mo Yufei's fingers were protruding. As a princess of the imperial family, Mo Yufei had never suffered like this. She screamed and cried at the same time. Luo Qingtong looked at her coldly. I forgot to tell you. She raised her hand to tidy up her sleeves and said indifferently, I hate it when people point their fingers at my head. The next time you do this, I'll break both your hands. And I guarantee that you won't be able to cure it. Luo Qingtong said, and turned to leave with Su Xiaoxiao and the others. As for Mo Yufei, Ma Qingyi would naturally deal with her. Send your people to find me tomorrow. Remember to bring the information about the Dragon Regiment. I'll give you a big gift then. Don't thank me too much. Luo Qingtong raised her hand and waved as she spoke, without even turning her head. Okay. Ma Qingyi nodded in a low voice. Brother Crown Prince. Mo Yufei's voice was sharp. My fingers were broken by that bitch. How could you just stand there and watch? I'll definitely tell father when I go back. Mo Yufei was furious to the extreme. She had just desperately asked the people behind her to attack. But Ma Qingyi's people had all the people behind her under control. As her brother, Ma Qingyi actually sided with that bitch Luo Qingtong. And he still said that he didn't like her. She really should let you and Mo know what kind of person Luo Qingtong was. She should let him completely give up on Luo Qingtong. Even if he won the bet, he wouldn't want that woman. Your fingers were broken by yourself. I saw it with my own eyes. Ma Qingyi looked at her coldly. The elegant and weak young man, who was like a clear spring, straightened his back like a javelin and exuded a domineering aura. The aura of a king was fully displayed. In addition, put away your petty thoughts. Don't think about using the power of the royal family of the Empire of Qin to deal with Luo Qingtong. Otherwise, you know what I'm capable of. In addition, you don't need to lobby for Mo Chunxian anymore. As long as his forces fall into my hands, I won't let any of them go. The dormant dragon of the Empire of Qin revealed his iron-blooded aura. After so many years, all the arrogance had all turned into gentleness and elegance. From the stormy waves of the storm to the soft willow village of fireworks in March, so that everyone forgot how arrogant he used to be when he looked down on the royal family of the Empire of Qin, and was respected as the true dragon crown prince of the Empire of Qin. He was respected as a rare true dragon in the Empire of Qin. Now he would spread his wings again, and tell everyone that he was back. At the same time, thousands of miles away, a gorgeous and huge flying boat was rapidly flying towards the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At night, a huge black shadow silently and invisibly covered the sky above the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. In the next second, a figure suddenly rushed out of it. In an instant, it passed through the layers of protection covering the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, and appeared in the courtyard where Luo Qingtong and others lived. In the room, Luo Qingtong was sitting on the bed with her index finger tapping the edge of the bed. With her eyes slightly closed, she was thinking about her future plans in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At this moment, she seemed to sense something and opened her eyes at once. Chapter 899. A pair of hands suddenly appeared in front of her, hugged her, and pressed her down on the bed. Luo Qingtong's eyes instantly turned cold. The color of blood in her eyes quickly rose. In an instant, the red color that seemed to pervade a clear spring quickly filled her entire pupils, turning into a color as bright as the morning glow, and as bright as red jade. But soon, the red color in her eyes faded. Not for anything else. The feeling of those hands around her was too familiar. Luo Qingtong's eyes rolled. And then, as if she didn't know anything, she suddenly shouted in a low voice. Who is it? How dare you break into my room? As she spoke, her body suddenly leaned back, and her head bumped into the man who appeared behind her. At the same time, she raised her right foot and kicked back. Bang! Luo Qingtong's foot was blocked by Yi Qianxian's raised leg. At the same time, he tilted his head to the side, avoiding the back of Luo Qingtong's head. He felt a burst of anger in his heart. This woman actually used her head to hit people. What if she was hurt? Yi Qianxian raised his leg and hooked Luo Qingtong's back leg. He fiercely pressed her down and was about to take her to the bed. However, Luo Qingtong had already broken free from his arms at this time. Swish! With a wave of her sleeve, the bright lights in the room suddenly all went out. In the dark room, only the faint starlight and moonlight through the window edge could be seen. In such a dim light, Luo Qingtong's red dress was like a stream of light, sweeping towards the man behind her. Bang bang bang! The two of them exchanged blows in the room. Because he couldn't hurt her, Yi Qianxian suppressed his strength, completely restraining the wild and fierce aura in his body. He only used his physical strength to fight Luo Qingtong. Feeling the aura around the man, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. She licked her lips, and then fiercely used all her strength and fighting experience to attack Yi Qianxian. She wanted to see how far the gap between her and this man's strength was in this state. Bang bang bang! The two of them flew in the room. Both of them held back their strength. Yi Qianxian didn't use his real strength, and Luo Qingtong didn't use her bloody eyes and life and death sword. The two of them flew back and forth in the room, completely relying on their own strength to fight. Bang! Luo Qingtong's figure in Yi Qianxian's body. Her body suddenly climbed up the beam in the room, and then like a snake, she shot out from under the beam. Bang! Yi Qianxian took her move, but his body was suddenly pulled back by the resistance of Luo Qingtong's sudden rush, and fell back on the bed. Boom! Luo Qingtong's body suddenly flipped and sat on the man's body. Caught you, Luo Qingtong said. Sitting on Yi Qianxian's body, Luo Qingtong put her hand in the middle of the man's black hair, leaned over, and kissed the man's thin and sexy lips. Yi Qianxian's hand was holding Luo Qingtong's waist, and he was about to get her off his body. Chapter 900. You seductress! The two people's lips separated after a deep kiss. The corners of their lips were still stained with the two people's liquid. After the two people's lips separated, a long ambiguous silver thread was drawn out. It looked indescribably lively, and very ambiguous. Does the Lord like a seductress like me? Luo Qingtong leaned over Yi Qianxian's chest, listening to the man's intense heartbeat. The curve of her lips was seductive. She raised her hand and gently stroked on the man's chest skin that was exposed under the clothes that she tore open. Yi Qianxian really couldn't bear it this time. His eyes were bloodshot. The next second, the hand that was holding Luo Qingtong's slender waist suddenly exerted force, pressing the person under his body. Oh no! Looking at the man's eyes that seemed to be burning with hot flames, wanting to burn her and him into flames, Luo Qingtong suddenly spat out her tongue. Played too much. She twisted her body. The moment Yi Qianxian turned over and pressed her under his body, she rolled to the side and wrapped herself and the bedding next to her into a thick, round ball. Yi Qianxian looked at this scene. His lungs were about to explode. Come out! He looked at the girl who was wrapped like a silkworm baby, only showing her head, and coldly said, Don't come out, just don't come out. Luo Qingtong listened to his voice that was a few pitches lower than usual. How could she be willing to come out? If she came out, wouldn't the little cutie fall into the big devil's claws and be eaten until there was nothing left? She said so, wrapping her small quilt even tighter. Looking at her wrapped like a ball and rolling around while talking, Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth. This woman. His heart was a knot of anger. Then he hugged the person together with the quilt in his arms and coldly asked, What's the matter with you, Si Huang? When I wasn't here, how many people did you provoke? Who else could it be? Without the warm and fragrant woman in his arms, Yi Qianxian's rationality returned. He finally remembered why he had come here. This woman. In the time that he hadn't been in the true Spill continent, just how many people had she provoked? Other than Yu Sihuang, was there anyone else? Yi Qianxian felt a burst of anger when he thought about how this woman had interacted with another man in a place he didn't know about. She even made the other man come to the Black Field to look for her, saying that he had fallen in love with her, and even asked him to help find her and fulfill her wish. He suddenly leaned over and fiercely bit the girl's tender lips. Luo Qingtong was confused by his question for a while. She didn't react for a while and was bitten by him. She hissed softly. Before she could make a sound, Yi Qianxian angrily sucked on her lips again and kissed her deeply. Oh, Luo Qingtong was kissed by him until she couldn't breathe. At this time, she was in a miserable situation. She had wrapped herself up, and even her hands and feet were wrapped up. She couldn't even fight back, okay? This was simply a self-inflicted disaster. Luo Qingtong raised her head and endured Yi Qianxian's kiss. After a while the man released her. She gasped for breath and said, Wait a minute. Even if you want to die, you have to let me know why. Who is Yu Sihuang? Luo Qingtong felt that this was simply an undeserved disaster. She didn't have any impression of this name at all. What was there to provoke? Besides this man, when did she provoke anyone else? Did she even have a chance? Chapter 901. You really didn't? Yi Qianxian coldly looked at the expression on her face, incomparably attentive. After confirming that her blankness was not an act, his complexion slightly eased a little, but he still wasn't completely appeased. He went to the Black Field, saying that he had fallen in love with you. He wanted me to help him. Yi Qianxian's voice was cold. You said that you don't know him. Then why did he personally come to find you? He even said that he wanted to give you a thank you gift. This was what made Yi Qianxian the most angry and uneasy. His relationship with this woman also started when she saved him. If this woman really had a relationship with other men like she did with him, Yi Qianxian was afraid that he would not be able to control his emotions and would completely go crazy. Thank you gift. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to say that her reputation as the evil Dr. Ghost I was widely known, and someone insisted on coming to find her, and she had no choice. But after listening to Yi Qianxian's words, the other party really seemed to have some relationship with her. But this name, she really had no impression of it. Luo Qingtong thought like this and suddenly asked, What is the identity of this Yu Sihuang? Yi Qianxian looked at Luo Qingtong's puzzled face, and the depression in his heart gradually disappeared. He coldly snorted, King of the Southern Territory, the future overlord of the 3 islands and 7 lands, the sect master of the imperial sect. Luo Qingtong did not have any impression of the first and third identity, but the second one, she suddenly felt a little familiar. It can't be right? Was it really someone she knew? Luo Qingtong thought about it carefully. Then, she quickly recalled that when she was refining the youthful rejuvenation elixir for her grandfather in the mountains outside the main city of the Black region of Dechu, there was a demon-like youth who was chased into her array formation. When that Saint Realm cultivator, who wanted to steal her elixir, chased after the other party, he seemed to proudly say that the future overlord of the 3 islands and 7 lands was about to die in his hands. Could it be him? The person you're talking about, does he have a particularly devilish appearance? Does he have a mole at the corner of his eye? Luo Qingtong asked. Upon hearing her words, Yi Qianxian's face, which had just improved, instantly darkened again. So you do know him? And saved his life? Could it be that it was similar to when he first met her? Yi Qianxian's eyes instantly turned red when he recalled that Luo Qingtong had accidentally kissed him when she saved him. He raised his hand abruptly, intending to peel Luo Qingtong out of the cocoon wrapped in the quilt. Sigh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Listen to me. Luo Qingtong pressed hard on her cocoon shell and said, I did save him, but it's not what you think. It would be terrible if he was stripped out. Luo Qingtong quickly told the story of her encounter with Yu Huang, and in the end, she pecked the man's lips. That's how it is. I swear I don't have any relationship with him. Luo Qingtong never bothered to explain anything to anyone. But Yi Qianxian was different. She didn't want Yi Qianxian to misunderstand. What's more, the man's red eyes really made her somewhat distressed. Yi Qianxian's movements suddenly stopped. He looked at Luo Qingtong. Under the girl's gaze, he suddenly lowered his head and kissed Luo Qingtong's lips. He ruthlessly plundered deep. Until Luo Qingtong was somewhat out of breath, he released her. Chapter 902. But I didn't provoke him. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. Her lips were swollen from the kiss. She was wrapped up in the quilt like a silkworm, and was obediently held in the man's arms. Umph. Yi Qianxian snorted coldly. Then he closed his eyes slightly, and pressed the girl with precious eyes under his body. He hugged her and closed his eyes. Sleep. He rushed over from the black field, and didn't sleep for a few days. Now that he got the whole story from Luo Qingtong, he immediately relaxed and felt sleepy. Luo Qingtong was suddenly pressed down by the man's entire body. She looked up and saw that Yi Qianxian's eyes were dark. How many days had this man not slept? Could it be that he didn't sleep on the way here from the Black Region's main city? Because of her? As Luo Qingtong thought of this, her heart suddenly thumped heavily. It was rare for her to settle down. She didn't want to wake Yi Qianxian up, and just went to sleep with the man wrapped in the quilt. Luo Qingtong slept all the way until dawn the next day. When she woke up, the quilt wrapped tightly around her body had been removed, and she was lying comfortably on the bed. It was obvious who did it. However, Yi Qianxian wasn't in the room. If her lips weren't still swollen, Luo Qingtong would have thought that she was dreaming last night. Thinking that Yi Qianxian actually rushed to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, just because the other party said that he liked her, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. That man cared about her so much? It felt good to be in someone's heart, especially when the other party was the man she liked. Luo Qingtong was in a very good mood. At the same time, in the Grand Supreme Dean's residence, he spat out a mouthful of tea after hearing the man in front of him explain the purpose of his visit. What did you say? The Grand Supreme Dean looked at the man sitting in front of him in shock. Ming Zun, you're joking, right? His eyes suddenly bulged. I never joke. Even if it was a joke, it wouldn't be with him. Yi Qianxian looked at him coldly. The Grand Supreme Dean looked at Yi Qianxian speechless. Damn it, he was woken up from his bed early in the morning. Before he could get angry, he realized that the person who came was actually Ming Zun of the Black Field. Not only that, the other party even told him to arrange an identity for him to stay in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Arrange an identity and stay in the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin. My God, my earth. If it were you, would you believe it? Of course he wouldn't believe it. My lord, this joke wasn't funny at all. Please be magnanimous, and let this old man go. The Grand Supreme Dean looked at Yi Qianxian with a bitter face. You say, you're a dignified Ming Zun. Why did you come to the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin? The people in the Holy Court, including himself, weren't enough for him to abuse a few times. This god of plagues must not be accepted. Absolutely must not be accepted. I just want to stay in the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin. You name the conditions, you arrange the identity. Yi Qianxian's voice was cold. After this incident with Yu Huang, he really didn't feel at ease letting Luo Qingtong stay in a place he couldn't see. Who knows what kind of people she would provoke? As Luo Qingtong's strength increased, her sharpness became more and more difficult to hide. Who knows how many people would be attracted to her? Yi Qianxian didn't want to strangle her light and wings, but he also didn't want her to be taken away by others. Chapter 903. Are you for real? The Grand Supreme Dean's eyes widened even more. They were about to fall out. Damn, Yi Qianming's words didn't seem to be a joke. Could it be because of the evil doctor? He thought of Luo Qingtong, and then the latter's engagement with Yuanma. Then he had a toothache. Yi Qianming didn't come for this, right? Then he really had to thank the other party for not tearing down the empire of Qin Holy Courtyard. As the Grand Supreme Dean thought of this, his eyes suddenly rolled, and he suddenly laughed. Okay, then I'll arrange it for you. An idea flashed through his mind, and he felt a burst of joy in his heart. But you have to promise that you must listen to my arrangements. Otherwise, even if you tear down the empire of Qin Holy Courtyard, I won't agree. Yi Qianming coldly narrowed his eyes and looked at the Grand Supreme Dean. Although the latter felt a little guilty, he thought that if Yi Qianming really wanted to tear down the empire of Qin Holy Courtyard, he would have done so long ago. There must be a reason why he didn't do it now. Most likely it was because of Luo Qingtong. In this way, what was he afraid of? Thinking of this, he suddenly straightened his chest and confronted Yi Qianming. Sure enough, after confronting him for a while, Yi Qianming nodded with a cold face. Okay, I'll listen to your arrangements. But you can't be far away from Luo Qingtong. This was Yi Qianming's only bottom line. As for the rest, the Grand Supreme Dean wouldn't dare to torture him too much. Good. Of course. I promise that the identity I've arranged for you is absolutely convenient. You can go and find her whenever you want. Anytime, anywhere. The Grand Supreme Dean said with a smile. This time he made a lot of money. At the same time, in the Guoyuan Society, a group of top heaven-grade students, who were also the backbone of the Guoyuan Society, gathered in front of Ma Qinyi. They looked at the youth with a worried expression and said, Your Highness, isn't your decision too hasty? Luo Qingtong asked you to borrow people. She must be going to find trouble with the Dragon Regiment. Although Princess Yufei's words are not pleasant, and there is suspicion of targeting Luo Qingtong, what she said is true. Moreover, with your current physical condition, our Guoyuan Society is indeed not suitable to fight with the Dragon Regiment. Is Luo Qingtong really worth you doing this? Just like Mo Yufei, no one in the Guoyuan clique took Luo Qingtong's words to heart. Borrow some people from the Guoyuan clique to return a big gift to Mo Qianai. From their point of view, Luo Qingtong wanted to borrow people from Mo Qianai, and the people she wanted to borrow were the core members of the Guoyuan clan. She wanted to use the strength of the Guoyuan clan and Mo Qianai's reputation to make the dragon group retreat, and not dare to find trouble with them. Returning a big gift? That was just a pretentious act. But Ma Qinyi actually agreed to her request. Luo Qingtong did this to avoid their trouble. But King Wu would immediately seize the opportunity to attack His Highness and the Guoyuan Society. Since the other party named his force Dragon Regiment, it was clear what his intention was. He was definitely targeting His Highness. Okay, you don't have to say anymore. Luo Qingtong's ability is not something you can imagine. Ma Qinyi had already confirmed that his dragon energy was indeed slowly recovering. He believed in Luo Qingtong. Even if he had to face the Dragon Regiment in Mo Qianxian, he would not hesitate. What's more, what Luo Qingtong said before others might not believe, but he did. You just have to go and see Luo Qingtong. Her orders are my orders. Chapter 904. At the same time, at the Dragon Regiment's base, a burly man sat in the hall, looking at Mo Yufei, who was full of anger and hatred. He laughed loudly and said, Princess, do you mean that Luo Qingtong asked the Guoyuan clan to make trouble for our Dragon Regiment? The one who spoke was King Wu Qinxian's confidant, Tong Hu. When Mo Qianxian was not in the Dragon Regiment, he was in charge of everything. Now that he heard Mo Yufei's words, he immediately laughed and said, Okay, good. We have long wanted to find a chance to fight with the Guoyuan clan. Especially King Wu. He had long wanted to fight with the Crown Prince. Now he finally had the chance. His voice was sinister. Mo Yufei snorted and said, I also think that Luo Qingtong is overestimating herself. She has bewitched Brother Crown Prince. When they come to make trouble in the afternoon, don't be merciful. That Luo Qingtong, you must teach her a lesson. Thinking of how Luo Qingtong broke her finger in front of the Guiyuan clan, Mo Yufei was angry, especially when Ma Chunyi did not allow her to use the power of the royal family of the Empire of Qin to make a move on Luo Qingtong. Fine. She did not need it. Luo Qingtong came to make trouble for the Dragon Regiment. Could she let the Dragon Regiment fight back? Thinking of this, the sneer on Mo Yufei's face became more comfortable. Fine. Haha. Tiger Cub burst into laughter. Mo Yufei's request, in his opinion, was a small matter. As long as that Luo Qingtong really dares to bring people from the Guiyuan clan to make trouble, I will break her legs and throw her to your highness to vent your anger. How about that? Tong Hu looked at Mo Yufei and said, I think if King Wu was here, he would be very willing to do so. That Luo Qingtong slapped their dragon regiment's face the moment she came back. This time, they could make an example out of her and gain Princess Yufei's favor. Why not? Moreover, the other party had helped the Grand Supreme Dean's faction to suppress the power of the Holy Institute's Elders Guild, which had greatly infuriated His Highness King Wu. If the other party really dared to come, he would definitely make the other party walk in and crawl out. Sure, then I'll be waiting. Mo Yufei smiled with satisfaction and held her head high with a haughty face. In the courtyard, after Luo Qingtong finished washing up, she called Su Xiaoxiao and the others over. Yesterday, I asked you to sort out the list of resources that the dragon group snatched from you. Have you sorted it out yet? She sat in the main hall and looked at the people who came in. It's done. Su Xiaoxiao nodded, then looked at Luo Qingtong and said in a low voice, But boss, are we really going to do that next? Thinking of the second thing that Luo Qingtong instructed them to do yesterday, Su Xiaoxiao, Ling Tianhan, and the others looked a little bitter. They thought that with Luo Qingtong's personality, she would definitely not let this matter rest. But they did not expect that Luo Qingtong would actually do this. This was too big of a gamble. Their boss was really too domineering. If they really did as she said, the students of the Holy Institute of the Empire of Qin would be in an uproar. Boss, aren't we playing a little too big? Ling Tianhan looked at Luo Qingtong and asked. Too big? How can it be? Luo Qingtong looked at them indifferently and said, they hadn't seen a bigger one yet. Chapter 905. Go and do it. Yes. Su Xiaoxiao and the others responded and left. Each of them went to do what they were in charge of. Soon, everyone in the Saint Court of the Empire of Qin learned of a shocking matter. That was Luo Qingtong, who had come with her might and humiliated the first elder, and the people from the Sacred Academy's Elder Guild on the square, and forced them to lower their heads to her, and the Grand Principal's faction had done something big again. She announced to everyone in the Saint Court of the Empire of Qin that she was going to establish her own faction, the Heavenly Demon Group, and recruit members. However, this was not the most important thing. If it was just this kind of person, everyone would not be so shocked. Most importantly, she announced to the public that anyone who joined the Heavenly Demon Group would have all the resources that the Dragon Group had taken away from them, and she would take them back in double. As soon as this announcement was made, the entire Saint Court of the Empire of Qin was in an uproar. Many people knew that Luo Qingtong and the Dragon Group were not on good terms. Firstly, the person she wanted to break off the engagement with, Yuanma, was a key member of the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group and was highly regarded by His Highness King Wu. Secondly, she had slapped the Saint Court's Elder Guild and the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group in the face. Not only did she help the Grand Supreme Dean's faction to suppress the Saint Court's Elder Guild, but she also ignored the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group's order and kicked out Lu Long and the others who occupied their courtyard. Although the main reason she did this was to slap her fiancé, Yuanma, in the face. However, this order was given by the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group. Luo Qingtong's actions were not giving the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group any face, and did not take them seriously. Everyone guessed that Luo Qingtong would definitely be dealt with by the Heavenly Palace's dragon group. However, who would have thought that before the Heavenly Palace's dragon group could find trouble with Luo Qingtong, the latter would directly go against the Heavenly Palace's dragon group. Anyone who joined the Heavenly Demon group could ask for back the resources stolen by the Heavenly Palace's dragon group, and they could ask for it back in double? Was Luo Qingtong joking? Or had her head been clamped by a door? During the years of King Wu's rise, the Heavenly Palace's dragon group had recruited the heaven-ranked students from the Empire of Qin's Heavenly Palace. They had plundered countless resources. That was an astronomical figure. Luo Qingtong actually said that she could help people get it back, and even double it. Wasn't this King crazy? Everyone watched as Su Xiaoxiao and the others ran up and down. They looked at them as if they were looking at idiots. In the Sacred Institute, there were all kinds of mocking voices everywhere. Oh my God! Do you think this Luo Qingtong is stupid? Does she think that she's invincible in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, just because she's a martial emperor? No matter how talented you are, you still need to be able to grow. How strong was the Crown Prince in the past? Isn't he still stagnant now? Even the Gui Yuan group didn't dare to say that they could ask the dragon group for the resources stolen from them. This Luo Qingtong is really daring. Haha, you don't know, right? Someone said gloatingly. I heard that the Crown Prince's Gui Yuan group might have wanted to make the dragon group unhappy. So when the dragon group's people helped Yuan Mo deal with the Ling siblings, he helped them a few times. Then, that Luo Qingtong brought people to find him. She said that she wanted to borrow people from the Crown Prince, and they were the core members of the Gui Yuan group. Today, she's going to cause trouble for the Gui Yuan group. I think that's why Luo Qingtong is so confident. What a pity. She just arrived at the Sacred Institute of the Empire of Qin. She probably doesn't know that the Crown Prince's Gui Yuan group is no longer the same as before. Who knows how badly she'll be slapped in the face when the time comes for her to intimidate others. Chapter 906. The Empire of Qin's holy court was filled with such voices. There were even people who gathered their friends and went to the place where Su Xiaoxiao and the others were recruiting members of the Heavenly Demon group, saying that they wanted to sign up. Most of these people were just here to join in the fun. They were here because Luo Qingtong promised that she could help them get back their resources several times over. Some of them were secretly scheming in their hearts. After all, Luo Qingtong was the one who said it. They would first join her Heavenly Demon group, and then force her to fulfill her promise. When the dragon group started to take their revenge, they would take the resources and leave. This way, they would not offend the dragon group, and they would get a large amount of resources. How great was that? These people thought so, and immediately shouted that they wanted to sign up. However, unexpectedly, Luo Qingtong did not seem to know that these people had bad intentions, and did not reject any of them. However, she had a request. These people could not leave the group for 3 days. Otherwise, they would not get anything. The rights to the resources that were taken away by the dragon group would also belong to Luo Qingtong and the Heavenly Demon group. When they heard this condition, they were immediately overjoyed. This Luo Qingtong was really stupid, right? Wasn't this simple? Wasn't it just 3 days of not leaving the group? That was a piece of cake. Not to mention 3 days. Even if it was 30 days, it would not matter. After all, it was Luo Qingtong and the others who were going up against the dragon group. When the time came, they would just have to do the work and not put in any effort. They thought that the dragon group would not deliberately make things difficult for them. When the time came and they left, they would get a large amount of resources, and they would not have to offend the dragon group. How great was that? As they thought, they quickly signed the agreement, and fought to be the first to join Luo Qingtong's Heavenly Demon group. At the same time, they were laughing at Luo Qingtong's brain. This was completely giving them the resources to use. Everyone was very pleased with themselves. Su Xiaoxiao and the others were very angry. Boss, these people have bad intentions. Why did we recruit them? Yuan Little Overlord and the others could not understand Luo Qingtong's actions. They could understand why their boss wanted to create a force. They could understand why the Dragon Guild wanted to attack them, but to recruit these people, they couldn't understand at all. And he even promised to help them get their resources back. And it was double. Boss Yuan Hu and the others were worried. They believed in Luo Qingtong. But this time, the stakes were too high. If they were careless and overturned the boat, then they would all be finished. Especially boss, they looked at Luo Qingtong. I'm fine. Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Naturally, she had her considerations when she said those words. This included the establishment of a force. Yuan Hu and the others didn't understand yet, but they would know later. All of you just have to do is watch. Don't worry. The person who can take advantage of me without paying any price hasn't been born yet. Luo Qingtong said as her eyes swept over those who were happy and thought they had taken advantage of the situation. None of them knew. If she gave it to them, they could have it. If she didn't give it to them, they couldn't take it away. These people wanted to take advantage of her. But she didn't know who was taking advantage of who. As she thought, she asked Yuan Hu and the others. Oh right, did Sima Ju go to the Dragon Group? Yes. He should have reached the Dragon Group by now. Okay. Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a smile, with an indescribable evil charm. Chapter 907. Bang! Just as Luo Qingtong finished her words, a loud bang came from outside the Dragon Group's courtyard. Sima Ju, after the Heaven Grade students of the Dragon Regiment, who were guarding the inner courtyard, rushed out of the courtyard. They were shocked to see a thin and slender figure appear in front of them. Outside the courtyard, the Dragon Group's students were lying on the ground. Sima Ju's foot stepped forward fiercely. Under his foot was a plaque that he had just smashed down from the entrance of the Dragon Group's courtyard. Bang! That dragon word was smashed into pieces by Sima Ju's foot. Bastard! Sima Ju, you're courting death. Seeing this scene, the group of heaven-rank students from the Dragon Group were instantly enraged. They rushed toward Sima Ju. However, when they were halfway there, the first few people to rush to the front suddenly screamed, "Ah! Be careful, there's poison!" Only now did they notice that Sima Ju's exposed skin was already suffused with a dark green color. 10,000 poison body. Sima Ju's surroundings were filled with various poisonous auras. Swoosh! Taking advantage of their bodies and movements that suddenly slowed down due to being poisoned, Sima Ju's figure suddenly pulled out and rushed out. As he flew, he shouted coldly, "Under the orders of my boss, I'm here to give an ultimatum to the Dragon Group. Before noon today, the Dragon Group must return double the resources that were stolen from us. Or else, you'll have to bear the consequences. Every night for 2 hours, we'll double the resources. I hope that you Dragon Group members will behave yourselves." Bastard! Tong, who rushed out of the courtyard after receiving the news. Sima Ju's figure had already disappeared in front of everyone. The characteristics of the myriad poison's body were enough to allow him to calmly retreat from the Dragon Core. A bunch of trash. Looking at the Dragon Group's signboard that had been trampled to pieces, Tiger Cub's face was filled with rage. He lifted his leg and kicked the nearest Dragon Group member, causing him to vomit blood and fly a few meters away. Pass down my order. Dragon Group members gather. I'd like to see how Luo Qingtong can force us to bear the consequences. Tong, whose expression was extremely ferocious. That damned Luo Qingtong. She was simply courting death. This Dragon Regiment plaque not only represented the dignity of the Dragon Regiment, but also the face of His Highness King Wu. He was kicked just like that. The members of the Dragon Group would never let this matter rest. He wanted to see how long the Gui Yuan clique could protect her. While Tong, who was fuming, the Sky Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin was in an uproar because of Sima Ju's actions. Oh my god! Everyone who heard the news was dumbfounded. Was this Luo Qingtong crazy? Everyone had the same thought in their minds. Previously, he had shamelessly boasted that he would ask for double the resources from the Dragon Group. This time, he actually kicked down the Dragon Regiment's plaque. This was the same as trampling on the faces of the Dragon Regiment and the Martial King. Luo Qingtong is finished. Yes, there must be something wrong with this woman's brain. Trampling on people's faces is comparable to life and death. Not to mention arrogant and despotic people like the Dragon Regiment and the Martial King. Does she think that she'll be fine with the protection of the Crown Prince? The Sky Hall was filled with discussions. Chapter 908. MMP. If they knew that Luo Qingtong would be crazy enough to do such a thing, they would rather die than join the Heavenly Demon Group. Initially, these people thought that they were only joining the Heavenly Demon Group and not going against the Dragon Group, so they did not mind joining. It's alright. But now it's different. Luo Qingtong directly trampled on the Dragon Group's face. The entire Heavenly Demon Group will be in trouble. If they continue to stay here, even if they don't do anything, the Dragon Group will still hold a grudge against them. Thinking of this, the group hurriedly left the group. As for the thoughts of plotting against Luo Qingtong, don't think about it. How can resources be more important than yourself? When Yuan Mo heard this news, he almost crushed his favorite decoration into pieces. Luo Qingtong, what are you trying to do? His heart was filled with anger. At the same time, in Luo Qingtong's courtyard, a group of Gui Yuan Group experts who came under Ma Chen-Ye's orders stood up with a bang when they heard this news. Luo Qingtong, what are you trying to do? The group looked at Luo Qingtong with displeasure. They were originally very dissatisfied with Luo Qingtong's help. This time, seeing that Luo Qingtong did not restrain herself and went against the Dragon Group unscrupulously, they were even angrier. Luo Qingtong was basically roasting the Crown Prince and the Gui Yuan Group on a fire. She did not know that with the Crown Prince's current condition, he was not fit to fight against the Martial King. This Luo Qingtong was too reckless. They thought that Luo Qingtong invited them to deal with the Dragon Group, and the group of Gui Yuan Group members were anxious and angry. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent and did not look at them. She invited these people over this time to give Ma Chen-Ye a chance to return some interest. If these people thought that she invited them to help, then they were gravely mistaken. What I want to do is my business. In short, I won't ask you to deal with the Dragon Group. When Luo Qingtong said this, the Gui Yuan Group members did not agree with her. With Luo Qingtong's current strength and no forces around her, if she didn't borrow the strength of the Gui Yuan Group, who else could she borrow strength from? Could it be that she alone could deal with the Dragon Group's members? Make them bow. What a joke. However, since Luo Qingtong said so, they were happy and relaxed. It doesn't matter if Luo Qingtong said it out of politeness or out of anger. Since she said so, even if they just stood by and watched, His Highness the Crown Prince wouldn't blame them. Everyone's to think, so to speak. Luo Qingtong glanced at them and didn't say anything. She just flipped through the information they brought. Time slowly passed. Soon noon arrived. Let's go. Luo Qingtong suddenly closed the information in her hand. The bloody light in her eyes flashed as she got up and walked out. Go. Where are we going? The Gui Yuan Group members' hearts tightened. Naturally, we're going to a place that can make the Dragon Group bow, Luo Qingtong said and flicked her long sleeve. The girl's figure was like a willow branch. With a swish she rushed out. Humph! Su Xiaoxiao and the others looked at the Gui Yuan Group members and snorted. They immediately followed. The Gui Yuan Group members frowned. They looked at each other and followed with a puzzled face. Chapter 909. On this day, the students of the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin had a very colorful day. Luo Qingtong had almost single-handedly set off a storm in the Sky Hall of the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin. Everyone's eyes were focused on the Sky Hall's Dragon Group and Luo Qingtong. As soon as the latter moved, someone immediately knew. Immediately, a group of people who were watching the show followed. Wow! The Gui Yuan Group is really here. Could it be that Luo Qingtong's confidence is really due to the Gui Yuan Group? Are His Highness the Crown Prince and His Highness the King of Wu really going to fall out? Looking at the Gui Yuan Group behind Luo Qingtong, the surrounding heaven-grade students who were watching the show instantly widened their eyes. Oh my God! His Highness the Crown Prince couldn't have really fallen in love with Luo Qingtong, right? Such a big matter was actually decided by her willfulness? Thinking that the Gui Yuan group could really go against the dragon group, everyone's hearts were suddenly filled with excitement. However, as Luo Qingtong's figure continued to move forward, everyone was puzzled. This wasn't the way to the dragon group's courtyard. Did Luo Qingtong take the wrong path, or? While everyone was thinking, Luo Qingtong's figure turned and appeared at a special place. The Sky Hall's training ground. Looking at the towering door, everyone was extremely puzzled. What was Luo Qingtong doing here? This was the place where the Sky Hall's students usually trained and learned from each other. At the same time, it was also the place where all kinds of cultivation facilities were located. Could it be that Luo Qingtong was going to challenge the dragon group's people here? What a joke! Not to mention that it was a battle between two forces. The victory or defeat of one or two people was useless. Even if there was, it had to be a battle between His Highness the Crown Prince and His Highness the King of Wu. Only then could it determine the success or failure of a force. What was the use of Luo Qingtong coming here, even if she defeated the dragon group's people? Could this force the dragon group's people to bow their heads? This was simply a joke. On the other hand, the Gui Yuan group behind Luo Qingtong suddenly remembered that Su Xiaoxiao and the others' resources were snatched away by the dragon group's people because they threatened Su Xiaoxiao and Su Xiaoxiao not to have access to the cultivation facilities. Could it be that Luo Qingtong wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine? However, the dragon group had the advantage in numbers, so they were able to use such a method to threaten Yuan Hu and the others. Even if they added them, and the others' group's people would not be enough. Why did they come here? Moreover, this method had to be used consistently in order to force the other party to submit. The dragon group's people Luo, and the dragon group of Wu would not to die. They would retaliate. What the hell was Luo Qingtong doing? The Gui Yuan group's is Luo Lin? Luo's people Luo Qingtong. S's Xian's. Luo Qingtong walked all the way to the depths of the training ground. This Sky Hall's training ground was extremely large. It was another space that was opened up. There were various training facilities and equipment for different kinds of students. The deeper the training ground, the better the training effect and the higher the level. Luo Qingtong had long known from the information brought by the Gui Yuan group's people that there was a place where the dragon group's higher-ups, King of Wuemo Chenxian, and other top experts often came. It was a necessary place for them to train and enhance their strength. Crazy Battle Cave. Luo Qingtong's figure stopped. In front, there were various dragon group's people. This place was usually occupied by the dragon group's people. Under such circumstances, even if the training ground's effect was very good, the others generally could not even get close to it. Except for the top few people on the Soaring Dragon list and Young Phoenix list, the others could not even think about entering. Chapter 910. Aren't they from the Gui Yuan group? Some of the heaven-grade students with higher status in the dragon group glanced at the people from the Gui Yuan group and gasped. Oh my god! They were the core members of the Gui Yuan group. They were the top heaven-grade students in the Sky Hall, and ranked in the top 100 of the Soaring Dragon roll. The people from the dragon group stared at them with wide eyes. They couldn't understand why the people from the Gui Yuan group had come to Berserker's Cave. This was the private land that the dragon group had cordoned off. Were the people from the Gui Yuan group prepared to start a war with the dragon group? Thinking of this, the members of the dragon group took a deep breath and gathered together. They looked at Luo Qingtong's group warily and unkindly. This is the training ground of the dragon group. You people from the Gui Yuan group should leave now. Luo Qingtong did not care about them and walked straight ahead. Seeing her actions, the people from the Gui Yuan group felt their hearts tighten. At the same time, they were very angry. Luo Qingtong said that she wouldn't let them fight against the people from the dragon group. Wasn't she the one who brought them here to cause trouble for the dragon regiment? Not only did the people from the Gui Yuan group think so, but the other people who came to watch the show also thought so. It was obvious that Luo Qingtong wanted to use the power of the Gui Yuan group to take revenge for the people from the dragon group. Was she preparing to snatch the territory of the dragon group? If that was the case, the Gui Yuan group and the dragon group would definitely fight. The crown prince could no longer stay out of it. Everyone thought so. Seeing that the atmosphere was about to explode, the people from the dragon group quickly left to find Tong Hu and the others. At this moment, Luo Qingtong approached the teacher guarding Berserker's cave and said, "Teacher, I want to enter Berserker's cave. Line up." The teacher didn't even turn his head. He turned a blind eye to the hostile scene around him. The Holy Court of the Empire of Qin encouraged students to fight with each other to increase their strength and combat experience. As long as no one died, the teachers wouldn't care. "I have priority." Luo Qingtong looked at the teacher and said, when she had just returned to the Holy Court of the Empire of Qin, the great elder of the Holy Court said that as long as she won, she could use the training facilities of the Holy Court, regardless of level or time limit. Compared to the other students, she had complete priority. The moment Luo Qingtong's words came out, the teacher's head immediately. Seeing the girl in front of him, a look of surprise flashed across his face. Luo Qingtong, the Holy Court teachers of the Holy Court had already heard Holy Court. After all, she had defeated the first elder of the Sacred Academy and the Elders' Council. Who wouldn't be curious about such a girl? Moreover, Luo Qingtong was not weak and had great talent. She was obviously one of the top geniuses of the Saint Academy. U.S.S.S. T. Everyone knew that the girl had won the bet with the Holy Court's Great Elder. No one could deny the decision made by the Holy Court's Great Elder on behalf of the Holy Court's elders. The teacher immediately gave a number plate to Luo Qingtong. Just before Luo Qingtong and the others arrived, a middle-level member of the dragon group came out. Before the next person could enter, Luo Qingtong took the number plate and entered. "You guys wait here." Chapter 9:11. Until Luo Qingtong's figure disappeared in front of them, the people around the Berserker's cave didn't react to what was going on. Especially the people of the Dragon Regiment. Luo Qingtong brought the top powerhouses of the Gui Yuan Regiment aggressively, just to enter the Berserker's cave. The people of the Gui Yuan Regiment, and the crowd of onlookers, who came to watch the show couldn't accept it in their hearts. F***CK. What happened to forcing the people of the Dragon Regiment to bow their heads? What kind of play was Luo Qingtong singing? What did she want to do in the Berserker's cave? Did she think that if she went in to cultivate, she would be invincible in the world, and scare the people of the Dragon Regiment into bowing their heads and apologizing to her, and returning the plundered resources? Everyone thought so. And suddenly you stared at each other. I stared at you. I stared at you. I stared at you. For a while, they didn't know what Luo Qingtong was doing. Some people have already laughed loudly. They said that Luo Qingtong was boasting too much, and now she had no choice but to hide in the Berserker's cave and not dare to come out. Su Xiaoxiao and the others listened to a burst of anger in their hearts. They absolutely believe in Luo Qingtong. It was absolutely impossible for the boss to speak without thinking. If she said that she wanted the people of the Dragon Regiment to bow their heads and bear the consequences, then she would definitely do it. Thinking of the various miracles of Luo Qingtong since they met her, Su Xiaoxiao and the others simply ignored the ridicule. They firmly believed that when Luo Qingtong came out of the Berserker's cave, these people would know what it meant to be slapped in the face. It's just that what was the boss going to do? Just when everyone was making all kinds of guesses and doubts, Luo Qingtong had already started fighting in the Berserker's cave. Boom boom boom. One after another, ferocious beasts rushed towards Luo Qingtong from all directions. The so-called Berserker's cave was a place to train students' actual combat ability. In this place there was only fighting. In the gloomy cavern, all kinds of ferocious beasts formed by the fluctuations of the formation pounced on the trainee in the center from all directions, according to the level of strength and difficulty chosen by the students. Students wouldn't die here, but they would be seriously injured. When Luo Qingtong entered, she chose the normal difficulty. The ferocious beasts she faced were only at the peak of the martial king realm. After all, she didn't come here to train herself. Bang bang bang. Looking at the ferocious beasts pouncing towards her from all directions, Luo Qingtong suddenly took a step forward. In the next second, the sword in her hand flashed, and the wind and thunder sword appeared in her hand. She instantly attacked. Boom! The girl's eyes flickered with blood-red light. In an instant, her entire body shot out. Those peak martial king realm ferocious beasts that were charging at her were not her doing at all. In an instant, Luo Qingtong tore a huge hole in the airtight encirclement of ferocious beasts. Under such circumstances, the blood-red light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered to the extreme. In her sight, the ferocious beasts formed by the fluctuations of the formation instantly turned into invisible auras when the energy dissipated. They were led to a certain place by a force. Found it. Seeing the direction of the fog, Luo Qingtong's figure flashed out of the huge hole in the encirclement of ferocious beasts in an instant and followed the fog straight forward. Chapter 9:12. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered as she rushed forward quickly. Along the way, no matter how many peak martial king realm ferocious beasts were transformed and rushed towards her, they were all sent flying by her. Soon, her figure appeared at the place where the invisible aura had completely disappeared. Looking at the stone wall in front of her, which seemed to be no different from any other place, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. Bang! She swept her sword and instantly killed all the ferocious beasts that had rushed over behind her. In the next second, she raised her hand, and the aura of the badge was instantly sent into the core of the stone wall. If anyone was there, they would discover that the aura of the badge belonged to the dragon group. The bloody light in Luo Qingtong's eyes flickered as the stone wall in front of her was completely analyzed by her eyes. The core of the stone wall was revealed. Luo Qingtong's finger pointed at it without any hindrance. Buzz! As Luo Qingtong pointed at it, the huge formation that was completely embedded in the stone wall seemed to be enraged and revealed itself with a bang. In an instant, with a bang, the level of the ferocious beasts that were transformed in the surroundings changed. The figures of the sacred beasts were all revealed. However, Luo Qingtong knew what would happen before she sent the aura of the dragon group's badge. Before the formation was enraged, she had already left Berserk Battle's cave. Swish! Her figure disappeared in Berserk Battle's cave, leaving only the enraged formation and the figures of the sacred beasts that were constantly revealed. Okay. After doing all this, Luo Qingtong clapped her hands, put away the wind and thunder sword, and stepped out of the door of Berserk Battle's cave. Outside, the people of the dragon group were wantonly mocking Su Xiaoxiao and the others. Yo, you said that we would be responsible for the consequences. Is this what you mean? Haha. I think that your boss Luo Qingtong won't dare to come out of Berserk Battle's cave today, right? Shameless. Yes. Haha. The group of Dragon Corps members laughed loudly. From their point of view, Luo Qingtong had completely gone overboard with her boasting. She didn't know how to end the situation. What heavenly evil group? I think we should just call them Big Talk Team, Trash Team. A group of people mocked loudly. Oh right, didn't your boss give us an ultimatum? I don't think you should give any ultimatum. Go to our dragon group's base and kneel down. Maybe I won't be beaten up so badly. Aha! The group of people laughed wantonly. At this moment, Luo Qingtong stepped out of Mad Warrior's cave. Really? Sure. I will remember this kneel for you, Luo Qingtong said as her gaze swept over the group of people from the dragon group, who were laughing the loudest. In addition, the resources you need to return will be increased tenfold. Xiao, remember them. Luo Qingtong said. Haha. The people from the dragon group heard this and laughed even more wantonly. Luo Qingtong, are you crazy? 10 times? I'll give you 20 times. Do you have the ability to take it? The group of people laughed loudly. I've seen boastful people, but I've never seen such shameless boastful people. Haha. Let's go. We won't lower ourselves to the same level as a lunatic. Brothers, train yourselves. Let's see what our Luo Qingtong and Boss Qingtong can do to us. The group of people from the dragon group ridiculed as they re-entered Mad Warrior's cave according to the previous cue. Chapter 913. Bang! A middle-level member of the dragon group, who had just stepped into the berserker's cave, was blasted out in an instant. He fell to the ground with a thud and fainted with a scream. Hung! Captain! Seeing this scene, the members of the dragon group were stunned and then hurriedly rushed over. The surrounding people were also surprised. Even the members of the Gui Yuan group, who came with Luo Qingtong, and were ruthlessly ridiculed by the members of the dragon group, were stunned. What's going on? Everyone looked at the member of the dragon group, who was ejected out of the berserker's cave, in surprise. Wasn't this too strange? This situation? Didn't it only happen when you overestimated yourself and challenged a training difficulty that was much higher than your own strength? And looking at the other party's appearance, everyone looked at the member of the dragon group, who was lying on the ground. Almost all the bones in his body were broken, and his whole body was dripping with blood. What kind of difficulty did he choose to be beaten up like this as soon as he stepped in? Was this member of the dragon group crazy with joy? Did he choose the wrong difficulty when he chose it? Everyone thought so. However, the following situation was completely beyond their expectations. Bang bang bang. One by one, the members of the dragon group were blasted out of the berserker's cave. All of them were seriously injured and on the verge of death. Their appearance was more miserable than the other. At this time, it was impossible to say that it was a coincidence. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. They didn't know how she did it. Could it be that Luo Qingtong could change the holy quartz cultivation array? But how was this possible? That array was set up by experts of the Sage Realm, or even above the Sage Realm. With Luo Qingtong's strength, how could she change it? In fact, Luo Qingtong indeed didn't have the ability to change the array. But she didn't need to change it. She only needed to find the core of the array, and then poke the aura of the dragon group's badge on it to anger the core of the array. In this way, as long as the members of the dragon group, who carried the aura of the badge, entered the array, they would be treated as intruders and killed at the highest level of difficulty. The dragon group's people used the excuse of not letting Su Xiaoxiao come into contact with the cultivation facilities to threaten Yuanhu and the others to take out the cultivation resources. Luo Qingtong naturally wanted them to have a taste of this. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. As I said, if you don't return the resources you've plundered after noon, you'll have to bear the consequences. Luo Qingtong looked at them indifferently. Now, do you know that I'm not joking? Even the mentors of the Saint Academy couldn't find any clues about what Luo Qingtong had done. Did the dragon group think that they were the only ones who knew how to play dirty? Luo Qingtong sneered coldly. Let's go. On to the next one. The berserker's cave was just the beginning. Today, Luo Qingtong was going to walk through the entire training grounds of the Sky Palace. Let the people of the dragon group not even think about touching a single cultivation facility. By the way, leave one of you here. You can start taking over the territory of the berserker's cave. Before leaving, Luo Qingtong said indifferently to the Gui Yuan group's people who had followed her here. At this moment, they were completely dumbfounded. Ah, what? The people of the Gui Yuan group had long been stunned by Luo Qingtong's means. Chapter 914. But inside, weren't they unable to go in? Their gazes swept past the people from the dragon regiment, who were lying on the ground with serious injuries. That's only for the people from the dragon regiment. The others are fine. Luo Qingtong glanced at them and said. Otherwise, why would she ask Ma Qingyi to lend her some people? And these were the top geniuses and backbone members of the Gui Yuan regiment. Wasn't it to take over the territories of the dragon regiment? Luo Qingtong knew that the dragon regiment occupied a lot of territories in the Heavenly Hall's training grounds. She was willing to share these with the people from the Gui Yuan regiment. The Gui Yuan regiment provided people, and she provided strength. Each took what they needed. After all, Luo Qingtong didn't have any subordinates now. Moreover, to take over the ownership of these places from the dragon regiment, the people from the Gui Yuan regiment were the most suitable. In this way, the other student forces wouldn't be unwilling and jealous. Luo Qingtong had always made the best use of everything. She gave Mo Chanai a big gift to save effort and reduce trouble, wasn't it? Yes. Thank you, Miss Qingtong. Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, the people from the Gui Yuan regiment instantly reacted. Soon, they understood from Luo Qingtong's words what a big gift this was to the Gui Yuan regiment. It was equivalent to the people from the Gui Yuan regiment getting a bunch of territories from the Dragon regiment with their bare hands. And the people from the Dragon regiment couldn't say anything. They looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. They thought that Luo Qingtong wanted to borrow the power of the Gui Yuan regiment to fight against the Dragon regiment. In the end, Luo Qingtong easily took action and suppressed the people from the Dragon regiment. Not only that, she really gave the Gui Yuan regiment a big gift. Thinking of the benefits of getting the ownership of these training grounds, the core members of the Gui Yuan regiment felt a burst of excitement. They looked at Luo Qingtong with shock and shame. After all, before this, none of them believed Luo Qingtong's words. They thought that the big gift she said was just to look good on her own face. Now, his face had been slapped swollen. Everyone was so embarrassed that they wished they could dig a hole in the ground and bury themselves. However, when they thought about how the Dragon mercenary group's face was even more swollen than theirs, the Gui Yuan mercenary group members immediately felt better. Those who were still gloating over the Dragon group's misfortune had really kicked an iron plate this time. She thought that Luo Qingtong's people were easy to bully. She was afraid that she would be slapped in the face so hard that even her mother wouldn't recognize her. At the same time, he rejoiced that the Crown Prince was truly wise. If it wasn't for the fact that the Crown Prince wholeheartedly believed in Luo Qingtong's ability, their Gui Yuan clique would have really missed this opportunity. Thinking like this, everyone respectfully escorted Luo Qingtong away, after leaving behind a core member of the Gui Yuan regiment. After they left, the onlookers finally came back to their senses and burst into an uproar. Oh my God! The development of this matter is simply beyond everyone's expectations. He originally thought that Luo Qingtong would not be able to do anything in front of the Dragon group. Even if he used the strength of the Gui Yuan group, he might not be able to make the people of the Dragon group bow their heads. He didn't expect her to have such means. In this way, the people of the Dragon group would have no choice but to bow their heads, right? Oh my God, there's a good show to watch. A group of people excitedly chased after the direction that Luo Qingtong and the others left. At first, the people of the Dragon group didn't believe that Luo Qingtong had such means to make them unable to enter the wild battle cave to train. Chapter 9:15. But when the core member of the Gui Yuan clan went in unscathed, and the others did the same, they were speechless. Each and every one of them was shocked. This was too scary. Luo Qingtong actually only prevented the people of the Dragon regiment from entering these training facilities. Then wouldn't the people of the Dragon regiment be much weaker than others in terms of strength improvement in the future? Not only that, Luo Qingtong didn't seem to be only preparing to attack the Berserker's cave. She was also preparing to do the same to the other training facilities. My God, this was a big matter against the Dragon regiment. The faces of the people of the Dragon regiment were pale, and they no longer had the arrogance and ridicule that they had when facing Luo Qingtong. Those who said that Luo Qingtong was crazy and a coward hiding in the Berserker's cave and didn't dare to come out turned pale as if they were painted with a layer of paint. Thinking of the words that Luo Qingtong said to them before coming out, their legs trembled. Something big happened. Something big really happened. My God, this Luo Qingtong was really a monster. The group of people rolled and crawled towards the Dragon regiment's base. Tong Hu and the rest were still waiting there with a group of core members of the Dragon regiment for the arrival of Luo Qingtong and the people of the Gui Yuan clan. But they didn't know that Luo Qingtong had directly brought people to the Sky Hall's training ground and cut off all their escape routes. How terrible was it to not be able to enter the training ground to train? That would affect their strength improvement and promotion in the future. Ruthless. Luo Qingtong's move was really too ruthless. I'm afraid that Tong Hu and the rest wouldn't be able to withstand it after hearing it. After all, in this world where the strong were respected, Why did they work so hard to get into the holy court of the Empire of Qin, join the dragon regiment, and rely on Her Royal Highness Wu Wang? Wasn't it to improve their strength? To stand above tens of thousands of people? With Luo Qingtong's move, it would be difficult for them to improve their strength. My God, this was a big matter. Deputy Regiment Leader. The group of people rushed to the dragon group's encampment in panic. At the same time, Tong Hu, Mo Yufei, Yu Wenma, and the others were waiting for Luo Qingtong's arrival. They already knew that Ma Chenyi had agreed to lend people to Luo Qingtong. In their opinion, Luo Qingtong didn't have any power to rely on. She would definitely use her connections to intimidate others and lead the Gui Yuan regiment to attack them. At that time, they would be able to legitimately attack the Gui Yuan clique. As for that Luo Qingtong, who dared to provoke their dragon group and sent people to break their dragon group's plaque, they would not let her off either. You and Mo, don't say that I didn't give you face. Tong, whose face was cold. What your fiancé did was trampling on the face of our dragon corps, and His Highness King Wu. She must pay the price for this. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you can't keep an eye on this kind of woman, then quickly divorce her. That way, you won't be embarrassed. Tong Hu and Yuan Mo didn't get along well in private. Both of them were highly valued by Mo Chenxian, but Yuan Mo's talent and potential were higher than Tong Hu's. Therefore, Tong Hu naturally didn't like him. This time, when Luo Qingtong came to cause trouble, Tong Hu didn't need Yuan Mo to come himself. He sent people to call him over himself. It was all for the sake of ridiculing him. Chapter 916. His tone was full of sarcasm, and he made up his mind to teach Luo Qingtong a lesson when she arrived. He would take it as a slap to Yu Wenma's face. Hearing his words, Yu Wenma's expression turned ugly. He didn't expect Luo Qingtong to do such a thing. He thought that she was a clever girl. But now, it seemed that what Luo Qingtong did was extremely stupid. Not only that, she even hooked up with the crown prince. No wonder she broke off the engagement with him. Thinking of this, the anger in Yu Wenma's heart surged. Looking at the anger on his face, Mo Yufei and Su Jinyue felt a burst of pride. That Luo Qingtong was simply too stupid. She actually took the initiative to go against the dragon regiment, and even ruined the reputation of the dragon regiment. Great! Now she was completely disliked by senior brother, right? When she comes later, they will humiliate her and teach her a lesson to vent their anger for themselves. Thinking of this, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. In terms of rejection and disgust towards Luo Qingtong, the two of them had the same thoughts. Just as Mo Yufei and Su Jinyue were excitedly waiting for Luo Qingtong to arrive, so that they could teach her a lesson, a group of people ran over from afar. Deputy Regiment Commander, bad news. A group of people from the Dragon Regiment rushed over from Berserker's Cave, and they were out of breath. Bad news. Deputy Regiment Commander, Luo Qingtong, what happened to Luo Qingtong? Looking at their appearance, Tong Hu frowned, but he didn't care very much. In his opinion, Luo Qingtong was nothing to be afraid of. Even if she had the support of the Gui Yuan regiment and the crown prince, she couldn't do anything. However, when everyone finished speaking, he realized that Luo Qingtong was not incapable of overturning the situation at all. She had clearly poked a hole in the sky. What did you say? Bang! The chair behind Tong Hu fell over, but he didn't notice it at all. You're saying that Luo Qingtong did something in Berserk Warrior's Cave that caused all of us from the Dragon Corps to be unable to enter? He was heavily injured and forced out as soon as he entered. The veins on Tiger Cub's forehead bulged. He grabbed the collar of the Dragon Group member in front of him and pulled him in front of him, shouting in disbelief. That's right. That Dragon Squad member was almost strangled to death by Tiger Cub's enormous strength. Trembling with fear, he said with a long face, Vice Commander, we've tried many times. None of them could enter. Everyone that entered was a serious injury. Everyone else is fine. Vice Commander, you should go and take a look. Luo Qingtong was still in the Sky Hall's training ground. It was said that he had to go to other places. I don't know, Before he could finish his words, another group of people scrambled over from not far away. Vice Commander, bad news. Luo Qingtong brought people to Gale Cave, and none of our people can enter. As soon as this was said, there was a dead silence. When Mo Yufei and Su Jinhua heard this, they immediately jumped up. That's impossible. How could Luo Qingtong do such a thing? Their voices were sharp. The two of them were just thinking about how to torture Luo Qingtong later. But they didn't expect to be slapped in the face before they even saw the ladder. Chapter 9:17. Yu Wenma was also in disbelief. The group of people rushed to the Heavenly Hall's training ground. Along the way, they kept receiving news about Luo Qingtong. More and more people from the Dragon Regiment were being chased out of the training ground. The veins on Tong Hu's forehead were about to burst. Needless to say, Mo Yufei and Su Jinhua were screaming in their hearts. How could this be? How could this be? How could Luo Qingtong do such a thing? They were waiting to see Luo Qingtong make a fool of herself. They were not waiting for the Dragon Regiment to be laughed at. The two men's palms were bleeding from their nails. Mo Yufei even raised her whip a few times, almost seriously injuring a few members of the Dragon Regiment, who rushed back to report the news. When the group of people arrived at the Heavenly Hall's training ground, Luo Qingtong was about to leave after touring the most important training grounds. The two parties met at the gate. Tong Hu and the rest were instantly enraged. Luo Qingtong, Mo Yufei pulled out the whip in her hand and was about to hit her. At this moment, the people from the Gui Yuan Society stood out and blocked Luo Qingtong. Princess Yufei, I beg you to stop. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Mo Yufei's whip was held by a core member of the Gui Yuan Society. She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. She pointed at them and said angrily, "How dare you hit me? His Highness the Crown Prince ordered us to protect Miss Qingtong." Princess Yufei, sorry. The people from the Gui Yuan Society said expressionlessly. They were all outstanding students in the heaven stage. There was no need for them to bow down in front of Mo Yufei and the rest. This was the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, not the Palace of the Empire of Qin. The reason why they gave Mo Yufei some face was because she was Ma Chenye's sister. However, if the other party insisted on dealing with Luo Qingtong, they would not be polite. After all, Luo Qingtong's ability was worthy of their respect and protection, not to mention that the other party had given them and the Crown Prince such a great gift. In comparison, Mo Yufei, the royal princess who stood on the side of the dragon group, was not as important as Luo Qingtong. Mo Yufei didn't expect that the people of Gui Yuan group would be so protective of Luo Qingtong. The latter was shamelessly pestering her Crown Prince brother. Shouldn't they hate her? How is she as good as elder sister Qing Wei? Are you all blind? Mo Yufei stomped her feet in anger. Could it be that the Crown Prince had taken a liking to this woman? She was furious, but Luo Qingtong was too lazy to pay attention to her. Just now, if it weren't for the people of Good Yuan clique standing up in time, Luo Qingtong would have already grabbed Mo Yufei's whip and slapped her face. Her gaze swept past Mo Yufei and fixed directly on Tong Hu. She raised her eyebrows and said, "What, is the dragon group rushing to apologize to us? But you're late." Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. "It's been more than 2 hours since noon. The amount of resources you have to return will be doubled." Luo Qingtong, Tong Hu could no longer hold back his anger. "Don't be too proud. Don't think that you can force us to bow down just because you used some unknown method to disrupt the array in the training ground." Chapter 9:18. As soon as Tong Hu's words came out, everyone around them was stunned. Then, Mo Yufei's laughter rang out at once. "Haha, how could I forget this?" As she spoke, she raised her head and looked at Luo Qingtong proudly. She laughed loudly and said, "Luo Qingtong, do you think you can use this to threaten the Dragon Regiment? It's a pity that once the mentors are here, your threat will be useless." Mo Yufei was extremely proud when she said this. She didn't know what method Luo Qingtong used to prevent the dragon regiment from entering the cultivation facilities. However, this was different from the dragon regiment threatening Su Xiaoxiao and the others to prevent them from entering the cultivation facilities. Luo Qingtong had changed the array formations inside. As long as the mentors changed them back, what Luo Qingtong did would be useless at all. They were also frightened just now, so they didn't think too much about it. Now that they thought about it, Luo Qingtong's threat wasn't that big of a deal. As Mo Yufei thought of this, she raised her head and looked at Luo Qingtong proudly. The anger and embarrassment just now were no longer there. The dragon regiment was the same. After hearing Tong Hu's words, their hearts relaxed and they weren't so frightened anymore. Su Jinhua was the same. She heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Luo Qingtong with a smug and gloating gaze. Luo Qingtong was indeed a little capable, but that was all. She wanted to force the dragon regiment to bow down? She was dreaming. The group of people looked at Luo Qingtong and the others mockingly. Everyone in the Gui Yuan regiment also felt their hearts skip a beat. They looked at Luo Qingtong with a slightly worried gaze. They had just taken over the dragon regiment's territory. Nothing would go wrong, right? Luo Qingtong should have thought about this before she made a move, right? Everyone thought so, but they weren't very sure. After all, how could Luo Qingtong's ability be compared to the mentors? Not to mention that the array formation master was a saint-level spiritual array master. His ability to set up arrays was first class. Even if Luo Qingtong did something to the array, he should be able to see it. In this case, if the array formation master repaired it, everything Luo Qingtong did would really be in vain. What a pity. Everyone in the Gui Yuan regiment felt a little regretful. Luo Qingtong's method was really good. Although they didn't know how she did it, she was able to do it. Unfortunately, the members of the dragon group reacted too quickly and actually thought of looking for a mentor. As for the reason that there was a problem with the formation, no one could find any fault with it. After all, the Sacred Academy didn't care about the fights between students, but they had to take care of the problems with the cultivation array. Everyone shook their heads as they thought of this. For a moment, no one was optimistic about Luo Qingtong. Only Su Xiaoxiao and others held their heads and chests high. They believed that Luo Qingtong absolutely had a way and wouldn't be suppressed by the people in the dragon regiment. Since the girl met them, she had never done anything that she wasn't sure of. This time should be no exception. They were full of confidence, but in the eyes of the people in the dragon regiment, it was indescribably ironic. Humph. Wait until the array division master arrives, then you'll know what it means to be useless. Mo Yufei sneered in her heart and proudly played with the new jade whip in her hand. Luo Qingtong didn't bother to pay attention to them at all. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.